it's got to be funny, because if it's not funny, it's just like a hate rally. Like, you need to make it funny and palpable to the masses, because this whole Dave Chappelle thing, I don't really feel that there's as much outrage out there that everybody's talking about. We've talked about it on our podcast several times, where it's fake cancel. It's not like, there's literally the amount of people who can't stand his special or found it offensive is so fucking minute in the grand scheme of things.
It's one loud person on the internet.
Well, look how big the transgender community is, or how small it is compared to any other like community that's out there.
But he wasn't trying to like upset the trans community. He was trying to compare the struggle that black people have gone through and the success that they've achieved versus the struggle that the LGBTQ community has had and the struggle that they've had and the progress they've made. He was comparing those two things, and he was trying to like just make you think, well, one was way more successful than the other in a much shorter amount of time. And he has a point. And then he leaves it into your imagination to process it and see, well, why, maybe ask yourself, why do you think that is? And that's all. It was almost like an orator of like a, like someone like Aristotle back in the day kind of thing, to degrade it into comedy, or, not even degrade it, but just relate it. And that right there, I was like, okay, well, that's an intellectual way to go about it, and that's the way that Dave Chappelle went about it. But then you have the trolls on the internet, oh, he's offending the trans community. It's like, did you listen to the message he was trying to say? And that's what I got out of it. I don't know if you guys got something different, but that's kind of what I took.
I got quite a bit out of it, like like when he talked about the trans person that he let open for him, and how basically he stuck up for Dave Chappelle because he knows him as a person, and everybody else just gets to hear these words and interpret them the way they want to interpret them. And because she stood up for him, everybody like gave her flack, and like to the point where she committed suicide and shit.
Yeah, he didn't know if that was related, but he was like, it was like 6 days apart, so who knows?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it was a message like they were so focused on the hate, dude, that they killed one of their own and they didn't even know it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like the community.
That's where we're at.
The one community that's supposed to be the most accepting community, apparently, shut one of their own out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think, and that's the thing that I think Dave Chappelle has always been trying to get across is that, it was a human experience. That was one of the words he used. I'm not talking about a trans experience, a black experience, a white experience. I'm talking about a human experience, because everybody's human no matter what you're doing. But when you're doing comedy, a lot of the problem is that you can have every intention that this is how I'm going to say this and this is what I mean.
But I know people aren't going to hear it.
But when people are in there, now they're hearing it with their own lens, with their life experiences, and some people haven't had their eyes opened wide enough to other people's way of looking at things and to look at a shared human experience, that they shut that shit down and they hate on it because they don't understand it, because they're hearing it differently. They didn't hear what Dave Chappelle said. They heard what they wanted to hear, that he was attacking their community, or he was, downgrading their struggles somehow. And he wasn't doing that. But they weren't listening. And that's the whole thing, that's what comedy's so subjective. You can tell the same joke to 100 different people. Not all 100 are going to laugh. Some people are going to look at you like, the fuck did you just say to me right now? Like, how dare you?
Like, if you go back and watch the special, I don't know if you noticed it the first time, but when he was doing the LGBTQ, whatever the fuck, I'm tired of keeping track, dude.
A lot of letters.
Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed in the crowd, but there was like this blue-haired lesbian clearly
I saw her in the
not
memes.
laughing at his jokes.
I saw her, and they're like, this is the person who complained.
Yeah, I was like, that's the motherfucker that has some shit to say.
And it's always going to be the smaller voice that gets heard, because they're the people who bitch about it.
The loudest, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what sells, is the controversy. If everybody just came out and was like, Dave Chappelle's a fucking genius, this is the greatest thing you'll ever watch, or this is like a great ending to his Netflix contract, but no, that's not what people are going to see and or hear about.